Hello, you're welcome to another edition of What the Papers Are Saying with me, Vivian Kai Loco. We'll look at the big stories for the week, those, of course, that made headlines for the week, the different angles around these stories and many others. When I come back, I'll introduce to you my guests for today, and then we'll delve into the stories. To stay with us, we'll be right back. You're welcome back to What the Papers Are Saying. So let me take you through the big stories for the week. We'll start with one, of course, to do with the relocation of the Ameri power plant. Let's see how that story was captured. Daily Analyst says, renaming Ameri power plant disgraceful, Elembele MP fires. The New Finder says, President commissions 150 megawatt plant to stabilize power supply in Ashanti region. So move away from that story. We'll take you to the former Maslock boss being jailed 10 years in absentia. Let's see how that story was captured. We'll start with the Daily Graphic. It says, former Maslock boss jailed 10 years in absentia. Daily Guide says, fugitive Maslock boss officer jailed 15 years. And then 3 News says, Maslock CEO jailed, state begins processes to extradite Sedina Tamaklo Yebwa, Deputy AG, speaking over there. So let's move on to some other big stories for the week. We'll go to the stories around the PNC and troubles within that party. We start with Citi Newsroom. They say faction of PNC NEC resigned to form new party. My Joy Online says PNC refutes claims of widespread resignations, condemns establishment of new party to be called the PNP. So those are the stories, some stories around that. We move to elections and the missing BVRs and the latest around that. Daily Guide says 4 caged over missing EC equipment. My Joy Online says NDC will file an RTI request for more details on EC's missing BVRs. Dr. Omani Boama speaking over there. We move from that to fuel price hikes and see how that story is still developing on the media landscape. The Informer says 30% transport fare increment illegal, public told. And My Joy Online says arrest drivers charging unapproved fares, Transport Ministry to police. And then we wrap up to the GJA at 75, where Sam Jonah made some interesting remarks over there. We start with Daybreak says Sam Jonah charges journalists to defend democracy. And Citi Newsroom says it's a shame Galamsey issues no longer make headlines. That says Sam Jonah speaking over there. So those are some of the big stories reported by various media outlets. When I come back, I'll introduce my guests who will help me dissect some of these headlines and the matters arising. We'll be right back. So welcome back to What the Papers Are Saying. My name is Vivian Kai Loco. I have 2 gentlemen in the studio today to discuss the headlines for the week. I have with me Salama Dono, who is one of our hosts. He's a host of The Big Issue on Saturdays, every Saturday. Salam, welcome.
Thank you, Vivian.
And then I also have with me Samiri Afi, also here with us at Citi FM, Citi TV. He is also our presidential correspondent. Samiri, welcome.
Thank you very much, Vivian.
Gentlemen, let's get straight into the stories for the week. Let's start with the renaming of the Ameri power plant and also the movement to the Ashanti region. I'll start with Sami, because you are the seat of government and you probably can explain to us why, which is some of the questions coming up, that decision was made for the movement. And I was watching the video of the president when he went there to commission and saying that there's so much being done and people need to open their eyes
and see what's being done.
See what is being done. But what led to the move to have that relocated to the Ashanti region?
Good evening to you and good evening to our viewers. So my understanding is that the the shortfall of power supply in the region was becoming an issue. And so they needed an alternative one way or the other to help address these challenges in this region. You can't rule out politics out of this because the Ashanti region one way or the other is known to be the stronghold of the governing MPP. And so in times like this and in crisis like this, you may want to do something to appease your base. And we can't rule out that particular possibility of politics playing a part in the relocation of the Ameri power plants to the Ashanti region, to be precise. There are also issues of shortfalls when it comes to power supply in that region. A number of times you heard people within the Ashanti region, to the extent that even the regional minister has complained on national television that the intermittent power supply in the region was really not the best, and that government should address that particular challenge. The Ashanti region is also perceived to be an industrial area because of a lot of the trading activities, the factories and the rest in there. So when you take Greater Accra region, the next region or the biggest region when it comes to industries and the rest is the Ashanti region. And so the government, what I've heard was that they wanted to more or less sustain these industries in that region. And the more reason why this particular plant was, shipped to that region. So these are the three reasons, I've picked up from sources that's the main reason why they decided to push this whole plant from Accra here, or from Takoradi to the Ashanti region. So to help address some of this. I heard the energy minister speak, and he says that this is going to provide over 150 megawatts of power, which will more or less stabilize power supplies within the middle belt, not only the Ashanti, but in the middle belt area. So you talk about the three Bono regions, the Ashanti region, and its environment. So is a good move for them, according to the energy minister. And in all the communications we heard about the Ameri, no one really has criticized the movements to the region. The major criticism has been the renaming of this particular plant from the original name, which is the Ameri, to the Kumasi 1 terminal plant. That's where the political, actors in it have criticized heavily, saying that is one way or the other going to more or less appease the people of Ashanti region and also take away the credit from the John Mahama administration, which introduced this whole American. Because remember, in between 2018 and 2015, we had power crisis, and so the Mahama administration imported some of these plants, and Ameri was a part of it. A 10-unit plant had the capacity to produce over 250 megawatts of power. And so in the face of the doom saw at that time, it was part of the emergency package the Mahama administration brought in to address the alternative. And so if a particular region in Ghana, which is a part of this country, is making demand for more power supply, and the government decides to situate it there, the political actors are not really worried about the movements. All they are worried is the renaming one way or the other to take the credit away.
One of the reasons of stabilizing power supply in the Ashanti region, the Western region also has its challenges. It's also one of the regions that is suffering from the doomsday we are all currently experiencing. It's a good enough, explanation.
The one reason why I said we can't rule politics out of this. We can't really rule politics out of it, because if your base really is making demand of such a thing, and it is an election year, you want the people within your base to turn up in their numbers, because already we are told that within the polls that have been conducted, it doesn't look that good for the MPP in the Ashanti region. So they may want to do things that will appease the people of that region, more or less, to come out in their numbers to vote. We can't rule that one out.
But
it's a major possibility.
Then just yesterday night we saw, which is Wednesday, the demonstrations by some residents over the power thing that there's a big issue.
It's a big issue.
I mean, the timing even.
It's a big. I was in Ashanti region about a month ago. I spent 3 days, and Vivian, almost every day the lights were off in the region. Almost every day, the lights were. It comes on for a couple of hours and then it goes off again. So I can imagine the feeling of the people who live there, who live all their lives there. I was just a visitor for just 3 days. It was uncomfortable for me. So imagine those who have lived there all their lives and do their business and everything there. So the government may want to do something to address that challenge. the more reason why this particular movement was in there. And surprisingly, the very day the plant was commissioned, that was a very nice individual also took place. So now it's been put to full operation. Let's see if it will stabilize power supply in the region.
But why change the name? Does it matter?
Well, it doesn't really matter because everybody knows where it's coming from. Everybody knows that it was brought in during the Mahama administration. And so if you want to really change the name, it doesn't really change anything. It doesn't really change anything because the majority of Ghanaians know where this is coming from. Maybe for political reasons or any other reason, you may want to change the name and take the credit from the Mahama administration. But you can't really change it because every right-thinking Ghanaians who saw the intervention of the Mahama administration during the Uduso time really knows that Ameri was brought in by the Mahama administration. To the extent that when this government even took over, there were some investigations into this whole Ameri thing. And so opponents of government will say, now something that you investigated and you are moving into another region, are you not even ashamed of yourself trying to rename something you investigated and even led to the resignation of then energy minister in this whole thing. So political opponents will say that the government maybe does not have shame when it comes to all this. But then they are also saying that the Ashanti region are people in Ghana. They are Ghanaians. And so if the plant is going to serve people in the Ashanti region who are also Ghanaians, they find nothing wrong with it.
Okay, let's bring in Solomon, his thoughts about the renaming, the movement and all that, and whether some of the reasons Sami has picked from the corridors of power sits well in this discussion.
Well, it's politics, you know. So the Ameri power plant has some history, and it goes back to what I talk about in terms of honesty and in terms of over politicization of things. So the Ameri power plant was one of the administration tried to work on together with car power, ship, etc. in the heat of the Doomsday, in the latter part of his years. We saw how those were criticized, that they were not necessary, they were bloated in price, etc. And when this administration came, how they tried to, work around Ameri, Ejaku and Co. having to be sacked also for the same Ameri plant, etc. Now, you find use for the plant. There's no problem with that. It's Ghana's money. It's Ghana's money, and whether it was loan or not, we will pay. So it's Ghana's money. Now, the change of name, which is what is generating a lot of the political issues. I don't find anything wrong with the change of name. I mean, to be frank, the VRA has a way it names its plants. Ameri, the plant never. I'm not sure it belongs to Ameri as we speak. I think we've finished paying for it. So the plant belongs to Ghana. So do you want to maintain the name Ameri on it? Well, there's no problem with that. Or you want to name it consistent with how VRA, which oversees that sector, the generation sector, name its plants. So for example, we have the Tema power station. We have the Tema 1 power plant. And then now the Ameri is being named or has been renamed to Kumasi 1 Tema power plant. So when you look at all of these, it's just consistent with how the VRA names its plants. So there's no problem with this. I think it's generating some discussion and controversy also because of the circumstances surrounding this. Circumstances or the background about how the president in the past has done things. He has been noted as a person who likes to change the names of things. So we saw a lot of institutions or universities whose names were changed.
Almost all, left with just about two.
Just left with about two. And at least Kwame Nkrumah hasn't been changed. So almost all the universities that existed before he came, he changed the names of all of them. And interestingly, about 90% of the names changed were changed into the names of founding fathers of MPP, as if the MPP founding fathers, were the only people in Ghana. We saw Power Grant, the UMAT changed to Power Grant. the UDS in
CK Tedam.
CK Tedam is a founding father of the MPP or the Buzia Dankwa tradition. Apia Akinti Menka, the University of Education in Kumasi. We've seen the SD Dombo, entrepreneurial something university. You know, why so? I mean, these are not the only people who have built Ghana. So why do you insist on naming all these key institutions after them? That is a whole discussion on its own. All right. So now something you didn't do. In fact, you criticized. Now you come and you are seeking to change the name again. All right. Even though I've said I have no problem with this, you can't run away from the politics and the history surrounding the renaming of things by this particular regime or by the president. That is where the controversy or the political leverage, if there's any leverage at all, or discussion is. But I do not find any problem with the change of the Ameri name. And if the motive for changing the name is to claim credit for it, then I think there's a problem. I don't think the commissioning was solely for the Ameri plant, necessarily. I think the bigger news there really is a 110-kilometer, gas pipeline constructed by Gensa Energy. It's a Ghanaian company and all of that. I think that's the bigger news. And it was that station they were commissioning. So when you commission the gas pipeline, the gas will have to be fed into a power plant. So the Ameri power plant then becomes the first one also it will be supplying gas to. So that's how it became, as if the name has been changed and it's been recommissioned. Of course, again, you cannot take out the politics from it. So it's great. It's gone to Ashanti or Kumasi. Apart from Accra, Kumasi appears to be the next place. Industry, population, etc. And I'm not sure it will just be Ashanti. BA or the Bono regions will also benefit a bit from that and all of that. So it is good to spread it so that every part of the country is properly lit. They have energy, they have power to do their work. Of course, the politics of Ashanti, you can't also divorce from this particular move. Ashanti people think that this being their government hasn't done a lot for them, compared to what they think John Mahama did in Ashanti. The military hospital, is it Sewa? Even they did some work on the airport, the market, and all of those things that Mahama did. They feel that if we've supported you so much and you have now come to power, we expect to see more than the one we didn't vote for did for us. And that has been a bit difficult, And so these are some of the things they think they can do to ensure that they have their people back. So there is doom so. You criticize the last regime for doom so. And your base is now struggling or suffering from what they together criticize the other guy for. So I think government is under some pressure to do good to Ashanti so that they can have their people back. That is the politics. But in terms of development and developmental thinking, I don't think there's any big deal about taking the plant to Ashanti. I think it's a step in the right direction.
Okay, let's
I think the issue really too has been the cost of movement, transporting the plant from the western region to the place. People think that the cost has been bloated, $25 million, $36 million.
I even hear $35 million.
O&M agreement, which balloons the thing to 71 million. I mean, people think it's just too much. And why it should be so sourced when it could have been opened up for more people to bid, so we have better value for money. So these are the issues.
All right, we'll move away from that and we'll go to the former Maslok boss being jailed, getting 10 years. Another officer of Maslok also got 5 years for being part of what had happened. The state has also begun processes to extradite her as well from the United States to come and serve a jail term. 10 years, is that the maximum for this?
Well, the judge always has discretion to, given the circumstances, apply. I mean, there are a number of charges, and so you need to look at each of those charges and see what the range is. But I don't think 10 years is bad. 10 years is, I think, good enough. And the fact that the money will be recovered or retrieved from her, as we understand, is also a good one. I think it's victory for the anti-corruption fight, victory for accountability in office. That's what we all want, that when you serve in public office, you know that it's a very high calling and you have to discharge your duties creditably. You do not just dip your hands into the people's money and spend it as if it's your money. It's wrong. And this particular lady, I'm not sure what her strategy really was. I mean, there's a matter, you have a case to fight in court, and you abscond. I don't know what the thinking of the strategy
from the one
is.
she knew, I mean, she'll be
No, but stay and fight. So now,
stay?
even if people want to make the argument about political witch hunts, it becomes difficult for the politicians from her side to step in and argue that it's a political trial. You know, I don't know how she decided to just abandon the case and run away as if where you go, we can't find you. I don't understand it. But all in all, I think it is good. It's taken quite a bit of time since 2019. But what we say is that the wheels of justice grind slowly. But this is what we have. I think it should serve as deterrent for a lot of the people in public office, so that they know that if you are called to serve the people, you must do so bearing in mind that there will be a day of accountability. So for her, her day of judgment has come, and she's having to, she will have to serve 10 years in jail. I don't know what she's thinking really, that she could hide somewhere, the 10 years will be over, or her government will come, and then she will come into town. She even makes it difficult for her government, if her government is to come to power, because this is the court of law that has, you know, convicted and sentenced you. So your government comes to power, what happens to the conviction and the sentencing? It stays in abeyance whilst you are in town. You know, I don't even understand. And it will be difficult for Mahama, if he comes back, to pardon you just on the basis of the fact that he can pardon you. Of course, he has power to do so. But the political backlash will be huge. If you were in jail and there was an argument for political witch hunt, political trial, etc., they could find a way to politically get you out. But you are not here.
But she's giving reasons
that
for
she was
it.
sick.
She's not well.
Well, I mean,
Isn't
people
that fair?
say she's not. It's not as if she's not well. But the court must have enough. You know, she should produce enough evidence to ground her point or her claim of not being well. So is she not moving around? Is it that when you relocate her from where she is to another place, she will die?
Maybe she's been
There was this
advised not to
gentleman,
travel.
Sylvester Nimana, who used to be the chief director at the Ministry of Health. I mean, he was one of those guys standing trial with Atu Forsen and co. But the state has discontinued the trial against him because he's very sick. He cannot see. He has kidney problems. He has a lot of issues. So they came to court and they asked that he be ferried abroad to be treated, I mean, etc. I don't know whether he's back or not, but the Attorney General is either planning to go and discontinue it. I think they've even discontinued the case against him. So if you are not very well, it's obvious. People can see it. You know, so I don't understand the strategy. Why you abandon your case and you run away. And the people who stood surety for you, now
Is it fair to say she ran away? If
no, but she left. She's
not,
absconded.
she's not
That's
well.
what the court,
Reason
that's
why
the
she
view of the
can't.
court, that she's absconded. If you are not well, there's a way you can stay in touch with the court. Show documents. You know, let the court know. The court has what it takes to protect even your medical records. Let them know that it's because you are not well. And what is the case? That when they bring you back, you will die. We can't have anybody in Ghana to take care of you. I think we must take the people we serve, or the people we have served or we seek to serve. You know, we must treat them with a little more intelligence than the way this lady treated us.
The judge wasn't happy with processes to get her, you know, extradited to come back to Ghana. Is it so difficult to do that?
Yeah, so there are rules or laws, governing the extradition process. Which country is she in again? The US. Okay, so the US has a number of bilateral agreements with various countries. About 120 countries also US has extradition agreements with. And these agreements, I mean, it depends on what you put in there or what the two sides have decided to put in there. And there are also issues of political witch hunt. There are a number of issues. So I don't know where exactly the bottlenecks or the obstacles came from. But now that she has been convicted, if the state really is minded to get her back, I'm sure that there are processes, you know, there to do. I mean, it's a legal process, and I'm not sure these processes are beyond the office of the Attorney General. I mean, they have to do what they have to do.
Well, Vivian, for me, it's a matter of accountability. And for anybody who holds public office, you should know that one day accountability will come in. And so if you're in public office and you are put in charge of disbursement of fund, because Maslow solely is supposed to do that. And per the facts of the sheet, which says that some amount of money was supposed to give to some victims and parts was paid, she pocketed the rest, and it, then you should know that a time will come where you need to account for your stewardship in office and the amount of money and trust that has been put in your care. And so for me, I would say is the law working, and persons in authority now and in positions now should also take a cue from it. That's one day a similar thing may happen. You may be dragged to court to go and account for your stewardship, and if care is not taken, you are not able to account properly, a similar thing may happen to you. But Salon raised this issue of, showing the court that indeed you are sick and you will not be available. But the case started in 2019. It's been 5 years now.
Yeah.
Is she still sick after 5 years?
That's
a question
know.
we should,
I don't know.
We should be in a position to, to ask and then get answers from it. From 2019 till now, the excuse has always been that she's not well. Do we have anybody with her in the US that will confirm or deny whether she's really sick or
She just has to send her medical records.
Or prove that indeed as well. But then I want to agree with Selo when he says that she might have just run away, because if you seek permission of the court to go and seek medical care, I'm sure in every point in time you must update the court on what's happening. Okay, test result shows that this, it shows this and that and that, but from what the court has said, there were no such records like that. Nothing like that happened ever since she left the country in 2019. Nothing has shown that she's well or she's not well. And I heard a deputy attorney general say that government may trigger proper documentation, and if possible, get authorities in the US to get the extradition treaty or whatever triggered, so that she can come back here to come and serve one way or the other. So it's accountability. You've been in office, your time has come, account for your stewardship, and that's what has happened.
All right.
This just a quick one. Maslow was set up by President Kufuor, and it's always been under the office of the president. And if you right from that point, it did appear as if Maslow was some
campaign
body
tool sort of
or institution meant for party people. I mean, party women in quotes. Small-scale businesses, so that if you're a party person, you could just go collect some money and not pay back. They hardly have the monies they've loaned out to people paid back, because the people believe that it's their money or it's money from their government to them, so they don't need to pay back. And because a lot of the beneficiaries are hardcore party people, the administrators of the Maslog, historically have found it difficult in going after them for the money, and so it becomes a loss to the state. But I'll be surprised if some of the charges against her or the offenses she was deemed to have committed, stood the way or are the way they are. I think she should have had some explanation or reasons for them, that her presence in court would have helped clear. Now you were not there, so nobody spoke for you, and now here we are. What we believe is what the court has said, because that's the charge. That was the charge against you, and you were not there to defend yourself. So that becomes the truth, because it would have been deemed to be admitted. So, for example, they say you loaned money to some about passive incentives or so, and you said you wanted an interest rate of 24%, and so you took the money from them. There's no record in the Maslog system that money came back to Maslog. So it meant that the money went into your pocket. I mean, that would be serious.
Yeah.
So maybe if she was there, she could have found a way of explaining. Maybe the money was rechanneled into some other thing.
But was a lawyer
but
going
it didn't
to
reflect.
court?
No, but you see, the issue about criminal trials is that the accused must be in court.
Okay.
So if the accused is not in court, nothing will happen. So the court had to make a determination that we will try her in absentia. That was what happened. I don't know whether her lawyer was there to cross-examine the state's witnesses.
Yeah.
But you may do all of that. Of course, the lawyer may be available to cross-examine them. The state has to prove the case against you. And let me be clear with this and say that if a criminal matter or the state mounts a criminal case against you, you have the right to be quiet or not. So you could be in court, you won't talk. Same as she's been away, you won't talk. It is the state's duty to prove beyond reasonable doubt that you are guilty of the offense, brought against you. So the state has to do a good job. But when the state is doing that, at some point the burden shifts. So when the burden shifts and it comes to you, and you are not there to shift it back or to explain yourself and clear doubts in the minds of the judge or raise doubts in the minds of the judge in respect of the criminal matter, then it goes against you. So it's a risk to stay and say you will not talk or what
stay away.
So now what the charges they've been able to prove them. So this is what we see as the truth. So for example, market women somewhere suffer from some inferno and go and help them with some money, and you do just a little and keep the rest of the money. Is that true? Well, from everything that we have seen and heard in court, it is true. Maybe it's not true, or maybe there's another explanation which will make sense. But she was not there to provide that explanation. And a whole lot of other charges, about 78 charges brought.
Can she come back and appeal?
Appeal what?
The sentencing.
ruling.
No, of course, I think she could, because it's the conviction would have been done based on the case as was proven by the state. So if she thinks that there is miscarriage of justice, or the case as proven by the state was not enough to ground her conviction, yes, I think she should. But there are time limits for all of these. So if she has to do it, she has to act quickly. But I doubt if she will do it.
All right. It's what the papers are saying. My name is Vivian Kai. Look, I'm here with Stella Madono as well as Sammy Riafi. When we come back, we'll look at the internal wranglings facing the PNC. Do stay with us. We'll be right back. You're welcome back to what the papers are saying. My name is Vivian Kai. Look, I'm here with Stella Madono as well as Sammy Riafi. We'll move to our next topic. To do with the PNC, some internal wranglings. It's been running for some time. Janet and Apasara have been back and forth, right? So now Janet and some members have moved away. They are threatening, or they have started processes to start a new party under the PNP, Liman's party and all that. But, I mean, let me start with you.
I've said that party never saw peace when Dr. Edwin Nasiri Mahama left. And I'm very sure that when he left with peace within the party, because the party has never been stable and okay after he was appointed by the president to serve as an ambassador at large. Yeah, or something, yeah. And the very moment he left, the wranglings within the party went, so high that you couldn't control what's happening in the PNC. When Bernard Mona was national chairman and Atik Mohammed was general secretary, they were still fighting within the party. Now the two people have left, the scene, and Janet and Daniba and Apasara are still at it again. Today, this one will do a press conference accusing Janet. Janet will also do a press conference accusing Daniba and Apasara of, in quote, stealing money from the party, misappropriation of, but this whole fight started after the 2020 election. The issue of some, financial accountability that Janet was supposed to do after the election. But Apasara, who was then the candidate, or the presidential candidate, and then Daniba, who was chairman, felt that, Janet did not do proper accounting and had, kept the money somewhere or the other. And so they wanted, the party to deal with her. So they, initiated processes to get her suspended for incompetence, misconduct, and another charge. So Janet also was not in support of this, held a press conference, got some other party executives to also come and pass a vote of no confidence in Apasara and Daniba, who was then the national chairman. The matter went to court. It dragged on for about a year or two, and there was a ruling somewhere last week or last 2 weeks which says that Janet cannot hold herself as the general secretary of the party again. A day after, she goes to hold a press conference, gathers some few party boys around, and form their own party, which is the PNP, taking the old name of the the Liman party. But I feel that this is a big blow to the Nkrumah front, because the Nkrumah's party have over the years said that they were going to present a united front. And there have been talks over the years about the PNC and the CPP and the other political parties, forming a united front to champion the Nkrumah's ideas and ideologies. But with recent happening, the CPP also has its own internal issues.
Now these small parties, why are they struggling to be?
The CPP also has its own internal issue. Just not too long ago, the chairperson of the party was also suspended, and the general secretary Nana Ajantwa too. But she said that she's okay. The national chairperson is still holding herself. Recently the director of communications petitioned the disciplinary committee of the party to look into the case of Ivor Kwamnagri Street and lawyer Akwete for a whole lot of nyama things within this small political parties. And this afternoon I said it on the situation that the country's democracy has reached a stage where fine, we need to have a multi-party democracy and get these small political parties. But if indeed their relevance and their value do not match up to the credentials of the country democracy, the Electoral Commission must find a way to ban these political parties. Because I feel that, one, they are a waste of time, they are a waste of resources, and people will disagree with me.
But are we fair to them? We've seen, bigger fights in the big parties, the two big parties. What's wrong if they are also trying to find their feet?
A typical example was in 2015 when the MPP was in turmoil, which we all saw.
Yeah.
There are
so this is their time.
But it's been on for long. For long.
Everybody and how they solved it.
When Benamona was national chairman, that was around the 2015, there were still internal issues. Till 2024, the party is still having internal issues. MPP had this internal issue in 2015. Akufo-Addo won the election. The matter was resolved. A united front, they went in to win the 2020 election, and now they are hoping to break the 8. A similar thing happened.
You've seen someone like Alan leaving the party.
Alan leaving the party, well, it's also
so
by
and then starting an independent
movement. In the
movement.
NDC, we saw a similar thing in 2004 when Obed Asamoah decided to leave the party. The NDC was united, won the 2008 election, won the 2012 election as well. So it happens in the cycle of political parties, but then it's able to resolve. But listen, this one has lingered on for quite a long while. And it all boils down to mistrust. The bottom line of what is happening within the PNC and the other political parties is mistrust. Someone feels Yedidija will be a Didija, and someone feels that this one is taking money from this political party, is supposed to come and share the money, but under disclosing this amount, it's I don't even know how to really describe it. And I still maintain my position that even the Electoral Commission, even though there's a clause in the Constitution which Parliament alone can really deal with it about banning parties and then making Ghana. I think we should trigger that particular process. And if there's a way...
And make Ghana what?
A two-party state.
A one-party state.
A two-party state. Because over the years...
People had their internal wranglings. Did we ban them from operating? Somebody is having, we want them to be banned. Yeah. To 2020, which is the last election, which parties have dominated? It's been the two big parties. And I don't see when it is going to change. If God gives me long lives to live in Ghana, I don't see anything changing about these two political parties. But the rules don't stop others from forming theirs.
They can.
And even if it's a minute group of people following them.
Even in the advanced democracies, which we look up to. In the US, there's always the Democrats
they
and the
have
Republic.
Small parties.
Yes, but they don't really match up the numbers.
Yes, but they exist.
When you look at the UK, there's always the Labour Party and the Conservative or whatever. Yes, there's always
others who still exist.
The Liberal and the rest.
Yes.
But at the end of the day, they're always going to go and support any of these the bigger political parties. But in Ghana, which is our democracy is almost 30 years old or even 30 and less, we can't compare ourselves to the bigger democracies as we want to see ourselves to be comparing to. We have a long way to go. So if these little parties will be nuances to our democracy, I think the Electoral Commission, I feel they are. And I stand by it any day, any time.
Well,
I feel that.
How
and even per the Electoral Commission rules, political parties must have offices in every constituency. Do these parties have these constituencies?
Well, it's up to the EC to deal with that. That's a different discussion.
That's why I feel the EC should crack the whip. and let's wipe these ones from the system. They are a waste of time, a waste of resources.
Okay. So, do you share the thoughts of Sami? I don't. I feel they have a right to exist as a
Of course,
party.
they do have a right to exist. Political parties have formed with a primary aim of winning power. But the reality is that not all of them are formed with of course, they may want to win power, but the real prospect of winning power is not there. So in other countries, we have the Green parties, for example. Their driving force is climate action, etc. And so they want to push as far as they can to ensure that their views are heard on key matters of climate change, etc. So that is why they exist. If they're able to garner the numbers, then it serves as a bargaining chip for them when they are dealing with the other parties or the bigger parties forming government, etc. Or where we need a coalition because nobody has absolute majority, then their views will have to be taken on board before they can join you to form the coalition, else they go to the other side. So various things happen. But in our case, the PNC and the CPP, who are a disappointing bunch of political parties, have no real prospect of winning political power. They have no real prospect of winning political power. In their heart of hearts, I'm not sure the CPP chairperson, who beleaguered chairperson, who we understand wants to run for the flag bearer slot, in her heart of heart, I know she knows she cannot win the election. They won't even come close. Janet Nabla says she's acting chairperson. In her heart of heart, she knows she's just joking. She's fighting somebody's battle. What they are motivated by is the booty from NDC and NPP.
Of course.
That's what it is. They don't have what it takes to generate their own wealth or their own money. And fortunately or unfortunately, they have become a battleground for the NDC and NPP. You understand? So the NDC will have 8 people in there, and the NPP will have 8 people in there. So they give them money. And so one side doesn't account for the money well, or one side uses the money the way they want, and so it becomes an issue. The recent round of controversy around they had was in respect of some V8 or some vehicles that they said the flag bearer for the last election was still using, and that they should come to the party. I spoke to the flag bearer on point blank. He said that the car was given to him, but to the party. So the person who gave them the car registered the car in his name, or asked him to register it in his name.
Wow.
Who is this person? The person won't be named, because if you name the person, then you will know. So it's all about what they get. The NDC and NPP, at least, they are united. No matter how they fight, they are united with the real prospect of winning power, because they have what it takes to win power. They have the numbers, they have the structures. But these small parties, they don't. So they just exist to take money from NDC and NPP. That's what it is. Or exist so that when NDC or NPP comes, they will get something. That's what it is.
But do they serve the purpose for which they are giving these monies? And
it's for their pocket. So the cars we are talking about, for example, why wouldn't the benefactor register the car in the party's name, so that it's a party property? But the thing was not registered in the party's name. The thing was registered in somebody's name. And when you register it in my name, then the presumption is that, yes, it's for me. So I will use it. So if Janet or somebody comes, I won't give it to the person. And they say Janet too has a pickup she's also using. So they are joking. Okay, I don't say they are jokers, but they are joking. They are joking, and they are playing with themselves, thinking that they are playing with us. We don't regard them. You understand? And maybe very soon the media will stop covering them. It's because they get media attention. That's why they keep doing that. But it's just a waste of everybody's time. And it is so much, it's a waste of everybody's time. Moro Igala, Liman, and all those guys, Professor Adai Mensah, all those guys, tried to build the PNC. And this is where their toil has brought them. The CPP. Nkrumah has done all the things he would do, and this is where his toil has come. It's a waste of everybody's time. They should pack bag and baggage and sit somewhere so we are free. I won't say the Electoral Commission should ban them. There are rules and regulations. Once they satisfy those, they have the right to exist. But they should take themselves a bit more seriously. Ghanaians do not take them seriously. They should take themselves seriously first. And it's been dwindling. Before, they had some representation in parliament. Now it's zero. They can't even win a seat. And the party that has existed for that long.
They can't even field candidates in all the constituencies.
They cannot.
In the last election, they did only 15 constituencies.
So
15
it's
out of 275.
But now the breakaway is starting a new party.
To do what?
To continue.
When she was asked what the ideology of the party was, said what credibility and that's not what they meant.
Credibility and integrity.
It's we are joking. And you see, if we were taking them seriously, then I'll be concerned that they were swaying people. But nobody takes them seriously. It ends there. Nobody takes them seriously. But they are happy hearing themselves talk. It won't go anywhere.
Is there no way to resolve this issue?
No, it won't
and get
resolve
them more serious and more proper?
The way to resolve it is to make them more serious. So they find a renewed sense of purpose. They go back to their founding principles. What Imoro Igala and Liman and Co stood for. And fight. And for God's sake, they are opposition parties. They should be seen, putting government on its toes. They should be seen proposing alternatives. When was the last time they proposed any alternative? When is the last time any of them really put government on its toes? When there's a party position or there's a position from a section of the party, maybe criticizing government, another section of the party will come and praise government. I mean, what is this? So, I mean, they are joking with everybody.
They don't have a single voice on an issue.
It's because the paymasters are two.
That is it.
So if you say it this way, the other one will go and tell his people to come and counter it, so that a house divided among itself will not stand. So what the other person said will now become useless.
But then that isn't the fault of these two paymasters that we know.
No, but
for them, they are political parties. They always want to serve their interests.
All right.
Nobody takes them seriously.
Let's stay with politics. We have a few minutes to wrap up. Missing BV routes, 4 caged over the equipment, and then the NDC also wants to file an RTI request for more details on the EC's missing BV routes. So you have 1 minute 30 seconds.
Well, I think it was the NDC that brought this whole thing to light, because if the minority in Parliament, the NDC side in Parliament, had not really raised the issue, I'm not sure the Electoral Commission will come out to you and tell Ghanaians that what really was happening. And I'm sure the pressure from NDC is making us to know or to get the full details about this issue. Had it not been the NDC mounting pressure, I'm not sure the EC will initiate processes to arrest these individuals who are said to be involved in this whole matter. I feel the NDC should push more. The credibility of the 2024 election is what everybody is looking out for. And at the end of the day, when a winner is declared, no one will go and stand somewhere, or no one will attempt to go to, the courts to go and challenge the outcome of the result. Everybody will accept it as it is. And so we feel that the EC must also come clean when it comes to these matters. I heard and they advised the National Peace Council gave the Electoral Commission, I think is in the right order, that they always allow the political parties to come and give the narrative, and they come in to come and react to the narrative. And he believes the Electoral Commission should lead the conversation instead of allowing the political parties to rather do it, because the political party will always add their twist to it. And the EC has been seen as a firefighting institution. When this party comes to raise the issue, and then they will come and react, they should lead the conversation in all this. Okay, Salam.
I think the EC must every day remind itself of its central role in our electoral process. Without a credible electoral commission, our democracy will fail. I'm not saying the electoral commission is not credible, but when it comes to matters that are likely to affect your credibility, you have to take them more seriously. And the way they are dismissive of opposition parties is scary. When this matter of the missing BVDs came up, they said it wasn't true. That was their initial remark. It wasn't true, and that nothing of that nature happened, and that it was just some computers that got missing. So computers, the computers are not related to anything. They are just random computers which got missing. And now it is gradually coming to light that some BVDs are missing. And now they say it's just one of the devices. Before it was none. It was just computers. Now it is one. Tomorrow it may be 2, it may be 3, it may be 4. You know, I think things can get missing, things can happen, because it's a human institution. Not everybody has the same mind. Some people are bad. But as an institution, they should not be in a hurry to dismiss things that come from their stakeholders. That is how it should be. So now you've dismissed it, but now it's turning out to be true. So next time when you come and tell us something, do we believe you? I think they must be reminded every day of their central role and behave a bit more responsibly than we are seeing. The Electoral Commission has what it takes to throw this country into turmoil, into chaos, into a lot of things. And we do not have to sit and allow them to operate the way they want under the guise of that they are the guise of an independent institution. Independent institution means you operate within the confines of the law and your own regulations. They can't just do things anyhow. I support them, they do well, but they must ensure that they discharge their duties properly. You can't please everybody at the same time, but the generality of the people must see that you are doing the right thing, not to be dismissing things which will later on turn out to be true and you don't know what you are doing yourself. It is not proper. They should sit up.
All right, thank you very much, Salam Odenu. Thank you so much for joining us. And Tamiri Afi, thank you as well so much for joining us. And you, our viewers, thank you so much for joining us as well. My name is Vivian Kai Loko. We hope to see you again next time. Goodbye.